Good evening, my fellow travelers on Spaceship Earth. It is I, and I am Guy. I'm coming to you live from Brent's show, where Brent is the showrunner of the show, who's Brenting. It's Brent, it's his show. See, it set itself for that weird thing again. There we go. That's better. Every so often, it sets back to this one. And I don't like that one. I want this one. See, this one's much better. But that's what you've got, man. 3 to 4 hours, and you're working it. You're working it, I tell you. Hi, Brent. Hi, MD. You're working this problem. All right. I'm going to switch to this right away. For some reason, this camera's not working anymore, which is kind of a bummer because there's a beautiful orb spider right here. And he's built this web right here. Although his web seems to have gotten a little mangled a little bit. But he's like right there. And I've been watching him build this web. Oh, on top of the 8. Oh, that's fair. See, that's actually a good thing. I'm just saying. Anyway, been watching this orb spider over here orbing. And it's interesting because during the day, he's on the sun side of this area. It's like this is all sunlight. So kind of worry about the poor little guy because I guess he's not a little guy anymore. He's eating some good stuff out here. See, I am entomophobic. I am extraordinarily terrified of bugs. And so I love spiders because they eat bugs. So as long as he's there, he's stopping me from having bugs. I'm into this plan, you see. So NDK was really good. Had a lot of good panels. I didn't do as much work, which I thought was kind of cool. Always a plus on that one and stuff. So always a good thing. All right. So we're here because I bet you're wondering why I gathered you all here. I was in the middle of class. We were talking about class here, or talking about the class that I was taking at the time. And during the class, we were talking about civic design, and we were talking about logical design, building the world around common areas so that you didn't have the problem that we were discussing. Yeah. Atom Punk is so good. Oh, I love Atom Punk. But we were talking about in the class, we were talking about design and how design has gone to the point where there's really no sense of community because of the fact that so there's no sense of community, there's no sense of togetherness. And I was thinking about how if I were to build a building, how would I build it so that you could have community? And I would build it with a center column of elevators with community centers around the outside around the elevators. So you'd be forced to go through the community centers to go to your room. And I thought about that a lot. And I was thinking about how you talk about spacecraft that are spending all of their time in space, like a long amount of time in space. And I thought, if I were to be smart about this, I'd flip the mess around here, this mess, with the enlisted rooms and put the enlisted rooms up here so that the people are forced to go through the mess hall to go to their rooms, which would put them in the community centers before going to their quarters. So I was kind of thinking about that. I was thinking about taking the mess out here and moving it and taking the enlisted quarters out here and moving them. And the idea being that the enlisted quarters then would be on the upside of this. We'd have to move food service down, but the food service could be in these little triangles, No, I'm not muting. I should be fine. I still show me on my meters. So unless we just got muted over here, audio is working. Okay, so you accidentally muted yourself. That's totally reasonable and not uncommon. I have also done that in my day. And I'll put the mess down here. This way, the mess is in this lower zone down here and able to get to. Yeah, see, I'm thinking this is a better move. This puts the officers' quarters around the outside. I also think that I'm probably going to get rid of Rec Court 1 in favor of an open zone court of some sort down here, and maybe because I mean meeting rooms would be useful for meeting with people, obviously. But I think that they could be these two rooms, and I could leave this area and this area open and just have tables and chairs and stuff like that, like an open zone to do stuff. And then over here is the pool, the hot springs, if you will, which I think is going to be important. And then we've got a little bar over here. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to merge these together. Then I'm going to do a levels check, and we're going to actually kind of get rid of the, actually, I will do a replace color. Because this is actually easier to do by far. And then just go Zorch, 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 and it's gone. And then that way I don't have to mess with it. Right? Because then it's just all that grid. Because the grid work is just going to drive me crazy until I'm done with this. And I don't know, somewhere along the line, I thought it was a good idea to flatten that grid work down. And now I'm like, why did I do that to myself? Just making my life miserable in that way. All right. Ooh, let's go back in. I don't like the fact that this is, oh, that's nice of me. Smart move, me. Make the stuff over there purple too, so then you can guarantee that things will be screwed up. All right, so we're going to do it again. We're going to hit replace color and do this. We're going to turn up the this and this and this, and then we're going to raise the fuzziness. That's going to still leave me with some weird squares in there, which I'm going to have to deal with. and stuff over here I'm going to have to deal with at some point too. Why are these squares even existing? What is the story here? Does anybody even know? Nobody knows. So I'll just clean them up manually. Well, so space dragons that aren't just dragons in space. That's a good question. Let's see here. Usually, whenever I feel like I'm hitting a trope, I try to take something and just go completely left with it or something. Just walk way off the beaten path. I mean, why are, I mean, first of all, I guess your first question should be, why are they dragons? I mean, does that make them space lizards? Is that because, like, what's the significance of them being dragons? Are they, because if they're lizards, then you really just kind of have reptoids. So Gorn, effectively from Star Trek. But if you want them to be, right, if you want them to be dragonkin, as is being implied over here, then the question sort of evolves a little bit. No. See, you can't get to those seats back there. I don't like that as much. And these are structural, probably. Okay. All right, guy. Next question. Why block this off? Why block it off at all? Why leave it blocked? There's no need to. Let's just kill this altogether. So, I guess the next question is, do they act like dragons? Like, are they really dragonkin in that that design? Do you have them behaving like dragons and doing things like that? So, yeeks. Because I would, if I were to figure out how to put dragons in, my questions would be things like, well, okay, things like this are going to drive people crazy. I can already tell. I'll get rid of rec meeting room 1 because there's no reason for. There we go. No, I haven't. No. Don't do that. I am, however, absolutely adoring some of these new names for things. Ultra Galaxy Mega Monster Battle. Doesn't that just sound like the greatest of anime names ever? Are they magical? Do they have magical traits? Is that a significant part of what's happening in your world? I mean, do they have magic? Do you even have magic in your world? I don't even know. There we go. Put in that green grass that was here already. Just kind of. Hey, Merrick. It's Ultraman show with Ultraman. Ultraman. Okay. Doing the Ultraman thing. And kaiju fighting each other is not a bad thing. I'm just saying. I'm okay with this plan. It's the entire reason why I absolutely adore Pacific Rim and why the second Pacific Rim wasn't as good. The second Pacific Rim, they added all this plot in there. Who needs a plot? Just show Gypsy Danger beating up kaiju. That's what we got here. That's what I bought the tickets for. You know, just saying. That said, I am very enamored with Monarch. So, still wondering about whether you've got uh, whether you've got um, magic in your dragons or not. Dragons magic. No, it's not what I wanted you to do, and you did it anyway. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna I guess the only reason psionics, yeah, it's treated like a biology. Gotcha. I was just curious because that's one of the traits of dragons is that they are magical or magical creatures or something like that. So I was kind of wondering if that was a significant point because if it's not, why not make them a new race altogether that just happens to be traits of hey, I think we are about to be visited by a can. Just saying. Could happen any moment now. Still waiting for the moment. Any moment. Still waiting for the moments. Get your music heard. Oh, hey, we can upload and play the music on the stream. Can you not add yourself? That's weird. Why can't you add
Is that?
yourself?
I don't know.
That's very strange. That's a very strange thing. Which wouldn't surprise me. They've renovated this entire thing. So it's very weird sometimes about what they do and do not.
Like I can't even play with any of the screens anymore. So I
Did
think
I?
I might have to leave and come back in, and maybe then I don't know.
Huh, I don't know. I mean, I maybe it's just a I need to reestablish that you are a co-host,
Could be.
which we'll fix. I mean, or it could just simply be that they borked it doing some fix recently and it'll debork as time goes on. So that's all right.
Who
We'll let
knows?
you continue to do.
So how are you?
I'm doing fine so far.
How is NDK?
Oh, it was NDK. I mean, it was. I say that like that was bad. No, I mean it actually was really fun. I didn't have any responsibilities. It was awesome. You know, that was cool. So that was always a plus. We're discussing a creature for MD 4840. So
Okay.
we're discussing a life form, if you're wondering. We're in the middle of that discussion over here. I, and Brent was here. I'm not 100% sure if Brent is still here, but
So what kind of creature are you looking for?
they're working on trying to kind of come up with dragons that aren't space dragons, which I don't blame them for. So in other words, dragons, but not having to, do sort of the classic space dragon thing, which does not surprise me. Saying that the personality is kind of similar to Metroid's, which just makes me want to go play Metroid. But that's beside the point. I'm like, well, now I want to go play that. That was one of my games, man. Just saying. Metroid was my jam. So yeah, kind of cool. I, on the other hand, had just gone through uh, in class today. We were talking about design that was the fact that modern design has evolved to a point where people don't really interact with their neighbors anymore because things have gotten very um, very isolated. And so I'm going through and doing a small redesign on my ship, which opens up this zone a whole lot better, thus making it more reasonable design. And Brent is still here, he says. Just making sure we all know. Because I was like, I don't know if Brent's here anymore. So the space dragons can take human form. That's what you're saying. So does that mean that they have a space dragon form? That's another good question. Are they referred to as space dragons? Or are they supposed to actually be space dragons? Because they could be called space dragons, but when they're in their actual true form, they're like a amorphous cloud of gas or something. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just that they sort of are shaped like a dragon. You know, like people do stuff like that all the time. You know, we call it a dragon. We call it a dragon mountain because it looks like there's a mouth of a dragon on the side of it, you know, or something like that. And the forward's got the quarterdeck with the stage. I don't know if I like. See, that's the problem. Is the quarterdeck should be an assembly area. This is military assembly. Back here is like the back half of the vessel is for people to people. Not to move that food service forward.
Yeah.
And this partition is only for looks anyway. So I'll just go ahead and cut that short there. That's a good question.
The good old days? What do you mean about that? Did you have a rant I don't know about?
No, 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 no. I mean, I'm a fan of Bubblegum Crisis, so I'm never going to take pot shots at uh, Cyberpunk. I love Cyberpunk. No, wasn't what I was after. I've forgotten all my commands.
I mean,
Help me! I've forgotten my plans.
here's the thing: it's like sci-fi and um, fantasy, they've all been changing over time,
Yeah,
and they're fun changes. I mean, that's not a bad thing. Like, I enjoy cyberpunk and modern sci-fi as much as I do the old Flash Gordon stuff,
yeah.
or even John Carter of Mars, which was kind of fantasy meets sci-fi meets, I don't know. It was its own weirdness, but it was fun.
It was a fun weirdness. I agree. So I don't. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what we're what that is in reference to. I'm gonna redo all this grass. Golden age of sci-fi. So I mean, I agree with Can on this one. I mean, my whole feeling is it all depends. There are certain sci-fis that I like and certain sci-fis that I don't. Generally, I can't deal with horror at all because it's just too jump scary, and I'm too high strung, so jump scares aren't good for me. And as I grow older, I'm worried that they become even less and less good for me. But um, there you go. Make this much more of a.
Come on.
Because I mean, we could put a stage right here, like a performance stage. It'd be kind of fun. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I we were just talking about this at the con, talking about all the different interesting genres and the classic stuff that sort of started us out in the world. And you know, I started out very much in Bubblegum Crisis, and I really didn't have much experience in cyberpunk prior to that. I mean, one could argue I did have Blade Runner, but that is
That's
pretty much it.
another good one right there.
Oh, Blade Runner's awesome, and not to say that Blade Runner is bad, certainly. Just that that's what I had was Blade Runner, and so
Come on. I hate bugs this time of year.
oh, we're doing the flickery thing. Dang it!
Flickery thing.
Yeah, my video card gets spazzy at some point, and I start to have problems with flickering. Also thinking this used to be a hideaway bar, but you know, if you're not in the culture of saying that alcohol is the cause of an evil and rather seeing it more as the um, response to problems with your culture, then maybe you wouldn't actually call your bar to be a hidden thing. Wouldn't necessarily make it hidden. Comedy, action, sci-fi, cosmic horror, mystery, tokusatsu. That works. I'm good with that. It's an excellent list. Cultural anthropologist redesign.
I think this page turned out nicely. I have to do a background here for the middle panel, but I actually kind of like the way this is turning out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like the way it's turning out too. Emoji.
Oh, so I discovered I was doing a brainstorming session and kind of using AI to like spitball some things.
Mm-hmm.
And I discovered something that I thought was rather odd in that I get that, like, I put in fighting for one of the prompts and it blocked it, saying it was against terms of service. I'm like, okay, I can see that.
It's
So,
not scoffing you, scoffing terms of service.
because originally I had muscular woman fighting goblin. So I took out fighting. I had muscular woman goblin. And it wouldn't take it. So I
Mm-hmm.
removed goblin. Wouldn't take it. It wouldn't take muscular woman.
Huh.
It's like I wasn't even asking for like, a Frank Frazetta,
Right.
you know? But for some reason that that prompt, that one specific thing, oh, it was not liking as a violation of terms of service.
Yeah. I run into that a lot with the music one too. Weird things. Because of course the only thing I use the music one for is to make music for my D&D game and my
Mm-hmm.
stupid bizarre little bard, but it completely and totally gets mad about dumb stuff that like I mean some of it I guess I can kind of understand, but like one of the big ones that it got mad about at one point in time was um I wanted to write a song about my bard trying to kill a fly, and it didn't like that. You can't use the word kill. I was like, but okay, because my bard's simple ish. So the thought was that she would be really ticked off about a fly because that makes sense in her little world.
If you ever DM or want to pass along a hilarious idea, um, put together like this super seedy bar that the party can go into, and you know you look around and you think everyone's like a rogue or some sort of miscreant. One guy has like a mohawk,
Right.
and you just get this feeling that at any moment a bar fight's gonna break out, and you find out that it is like the underground like dessert shop that everybody goes to that has a sweet tooth in town.
Right.
I thought that would be a hilarious idea.
I like that idea. I have tomorrow off, which is nice.
Hey, there you go.
But I'm potentially on COVID watch, so that's not nice because COVID
Well,
has
of
broken
course
out
you
at the
are.
con. So
Yeah, that doesn't shock me either.
I feel fine, but I've got the COVID test sitting over here, and I'm really just going to kind of lie low until I found out whether I've got COVID or not. Yep. There's that. Luckily, I don't feel bad. So,
At least for right now.
ooh, I love long session stuff where you've got like the long game going.
I'm so glad we're at the end of summer.
Yeah, me too. Mm, me too.
Do we not have any music going?
Oh, I was gonna push the music button and then I didn't because I'm asleep. It now
Well, I
lets me
just now
apparently upload
noticed.
my.
I'm like,
Yeah, it totally reasonable.
hey,
Actually, I think I'm gonna go in here and. Three-sided. There we go. Little three-sided tables. Make a little like lounge over here. Here we go. Oh man.
so how have you been lately?
I've been okay. Uh, my language class is gonna kill me. I just because my teacher um is she's got a very strict policy, and so it's It's just, it'll be fine. I'll be fine. I just was like, wow, homework, homework, more homework. I was like, wow. But she is Japanese, and so she's kind of going by the Japanese style of doing these things, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I get that. But it is still really, like, amazingly tough. The class is tough.
Yeah.
But it'll be fine. It's actually kind of cool because a lot of my fellow classmates have decided to team up to make study groups and work together. So, like, I meet with one of my groups on Monday right after my first class, and we study. And then I meet with the second study group after the class and stuff. So it's actually really kind of cool. I've got some buddies now, got college buddies, man. I met college buddies. I don't know why I'm enjoying that so much, but I am. I'm like, hey, I got college buddies. Look at me.
I think I'm gonna do, like, after 17 and 18, do 2 more pages. That'll give me an even 20 and call this an issue. Even though this was never supposed to go this way.
Right. There we go. Little lounge area back here. Lounge. The hot tubs over here to hot tub in. A little, like, restaurant bar thing back here. Run around all the water tanks in the back.
You could put a whole bunch of funny posters back in the hot tub area.
You'll put a whole bunch of what?
Funny posters.
Oh, yeah.
That would kind of really bring some life into that area.
Okay.
Like have one that says, "Remember, the hot tub's off limit on Taco Tuesdays."
Right.
Have a sign on one of the panel doors that says, "Reminder, hot tubs are to be set exactly at 110 degrees Fahrenheit and not any hotter or colder."
Right.
and have another like little postage stamp sized one that says you're not the boss of me.
Right. Like, you can't tell me you're not my real dad. Hey, redesigning lifeboat stations.
Like you could have some real fun breathing some life into the ship
Uh-huh.
just with stupid background thing.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah.
Like it becomes its own little like office space kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing, is like you get to a point where it's like you're in the yeah, you're in this zone of, now you're in the personal whatever, the personal zone of the private, I don't know, I don't want to say private zone, but personal zone of the crew. So it's, this becomes part of their culture.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to think about, what is their culture? What is that culture? What is the...
Well, and that's what. Yeah, I had some friends kind of sneer at me about the new D&D art that's come out with 6th edition, but they're calling it 5th edition, and like, I'll show you it's a beautiful picture, don't get me wrong. And on a technical level, I love the picture, but I also hate it.
Okay.
Let me send it to you, and we can bring it up, and we can discuss this picture.
Right?
Because once I start going into what I don't like about it, you'll understand what I mean.
And tell me where and when you're sending it. Where are you sending to?
I'm going to be sending it to your Facebook.
Okay.
I just have to find it first.
That's fine. I need to know where you're going to send it to when you get to that point,
Let's see.
Trador.
Yeah.
You're my friend. Consummate V's.
come on. I guess I could do it this way. Alright, check private chat for a link.
All right.
And then maybe we throw it up on screen so that...
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. All right. Throwing it up.
Yeah.
But first, let's figure out how to throw up, apparently. There we go. Determined. Determined! All right, let's discuss this.
So, it's a beautiful picture.
Yeah.
The problem I have with it is it has no soul to it.
Okay.
Like, the table there isn't taking anything into account. Like, how does the taco that the...
Yeah, I know. We got a taco in there. It's kind of funny.
They have taco, they have takoyaki,
Sushi.
they have sushi, they have a roast something leg, they have a pumpkin. Like, it's just random, and empanadas or whatever over there. And it's like random elements. And then the adventure party themselves are wearing heavy cloaks and heavy clothing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not meshing with fish, which would denote a more ocean or waterway type place. Like,
Yeah,
it's like,
I don't know. I'm kind of like, would we have tacos? These are the things that make me wondering. Like, would we actually have tacos?
well, like like having a flatbread item, that wouldn't bug me because that would make sense. But it's not really. It's almost like nothing was taken into account. Like they were just ticking off boxes.
Right. Make sure you add tacos. What? And you need to make sure that you also add empanadas. What? Wait, empanadas? Why? Because we want to make sure that we have empanadas. Okay.
Yeah.
Specifically empanadas?
We need to make sure this is, has racial diversity to it. So add tacos.
Right. Because tacos are definitely Mexican and absolutely could not possibly be an American food. I always love things like that because tacos are one of those kind of like pizza, and pizza is not Italian.
And throw some sushi in there while you got it.
It's kind of weird.
And particularly, I guess it's, my training as a cook. I'm looking at this spread and going, nothing has been thought about. Like they haven't taken the time to appreciate like what would be there, what would be appropriate.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
I agree. There it shouldn't all be, you know, Northern European food. You can have Mediterranean, or you could have Asian and Japanese and all that. Have that as influences, but it doesn't look like they have influences. It's
Right.
almost like, here's a bunch of food, have at it.
Mm-hmm.
They put it into a computer system and it put out this as its prompt, and it's like,
Right.
it's like, some really cool spreads you could do is like, what would a drow feast look like?
Right. Well,
'Cause
and
an Underdark drow feast.
right. I mean, and there are all kinds of things. Like, this is still one of those things that Delicious in Dungeon is doing interestingly that I love, which is, why are they not having, roast, whatever, roast? It doesn't matter.
Chicken.
Yeah, but I mean, like, but that's what's making Delicious in Dungeon so funny, is the whole concept and idea of, this going down into the dungeons and cooking goblins, or cooking
Monsters.
these monsters that are in the dungeon, which cracks me up every time. And I think that has become much more entertaining than anything else.
Yeah, because, like, I was thinking about what an Underdark feast would look like.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a lot of giant insects. Well, you can use the exoskeletons as kind of you could have a spread that almost looks like lobsters.
Yeah.
Where you've designed utensils to get the meat out of the shell.
You haven't seen Delicious in Dungeon, have you?
Oh yes, I have. And
Oh, okay.
It is great.
Because that's literally what they're, of course, doing, which cracks me up.
And of course, it's also spawned the Delicious in Dungeon meets Pokemon art, which is disturbing in and of itself.
You're not wrong.
But it's like, looking at the picture, the Elven Ranger has a Pokeball. the poke bowls
Uh-huh.
from Hawaii, and then one of them has some sort of drink with an umbrella in it.
Right?
Well, those are more, seem more like hot climate foods,
Yeah.
and yet they're wearing very, very, very heavy clothes, which suggests that it's cold outside, which would put it into like heartier stews and roasts and things like that.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
But
Ooh.
going back to your spaceship, you're thinking about what would life be like on board one of these starships.
Yeah.
And that's the part I really love, is you have different things going on because you're thinking about how would these people live.
Mm-hmm. And live for a long time together as a community.
Yeah. I almost think you need to do some research into. There's a town in Alaska that literally the entire town is one building.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or look into the Antarctica research stations.
Mm-hmm. 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 But I mean, that's part of what fascinates me about this whole concept and everything, is the thought process of, and that's why we're moving stuff around here, is, you know, the crew here is, you know, it's, they all need to be thinking about, well, we need to be thinking about how they live. You know, what's their living situation, and this whole area is like their little town hall, their little meeting area, how they live and die in here, which, so to speak. I also think it's interesting that the showers become the center of the culture. That's funny.
And that's when he lost his master.
My little buddy has disappeared. I don't know what happened to him.
George?
Oh no, I have an orb spider who built this beautiful web right here on my window, on the outside of my window. And he's gone right now to me is he caught something in the web, but I'm like kind of amazed at how big his web is because he's gone. He's been here for like 3 or 4 days, and he was here earlier tonight. And I thought I saw him moving a few minutes ago, so
Yeah, he's probably put it in food storage.
yep. I mean, my whole thing is I hate bugs, so I love spiders because they eat bugs. You know what I mean? Like they're my kind of peeps. They're after getting rid of bugs. I'm into this plan. Yeah, but I've been thinking about this a little bit more and more all the time about this idea of what is life like on this ship? You know, in between stories and in between times when you're dealing with, whatever plot device we've got to go through today. What is life like on this ship?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they have a cook? Do they not have a cook? Like,
Or do they just cook because it's fun?
yeah.
I mean, they've got matter synthesis, so it's one thing that I think you kind of have to have in order to have functioning science fiction. So I don't think they would, they wouldn't cook for, needing to cook. They don't need to cook. So they probably would cook recreationally.
Yeah. And sometimes you just don't have the time to cook. Or
Right.
maybe they have a kitchen that actually does prepared meals, but their synthesizer makes like the raw ingredients.
Right. That's what I was thinking too, is that you might have cooking, down, and they're cooking for whatever reason. I don't know. Just seems like a thing that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah. You could go to one of these and get a quick meal. Or maybe the kitchen's behind and they need meals quickly to get caught up, and that's when they just synthesize.
Yeah, if you have, but I feel like if you have a kitchen, you'll need a cook. Like, you need people who make meals. Whereas if you have replimats, then you only cook as a recreational thing, like, Bob's decided to have a luau, or something, and he's gonna synthesize some raw meat and cook it, but that's not, it's during a party or whatever.
Or you have a VIP guest on board.
Or something.
You're trying to impress them.
Make your way back up there, bro. So, my little buddy Spider just fell down from the ceiling. I think not from the ceiling, from the roof of the house. I think he's trying to fix part of his web, which got borked. Yeah, it looks like he's trying to fix specifically a part of his web, which got borked earlier today. Spiders are fascinating, though.
Yeah, they are.
I'm glad I'm not arachnophobic. He'd probably really bug me if he... Because he's right there.
I am very arachnophobic, but I find them to be fascinating too, even though they scare the living shit out of me.
I mean, I don't think I'd be as happy if he was in here with me. He's on the other side of my glass door, but he's on the outside of the house. I'm hoping he gets one of those wasps. Oh, yeah. Look at him go. That damaged part of the web, he's got it all boiled or all rolled up now and cleaned up. Good job, you. It's kind of cool. He's on the far side of the light, the deck light, and his legs are kind of translucent, so you can see all the light through his little legs. See, the thing is that in this household, there is a far larger monster than that poor little guy would do, because George will eat him fast. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that little spider wouldn't last but like 30 seconds with George. Like, George would get him. And so I'm not so worried. As long as he's outside, he's safe from George, and I'm safe from him to some degree. He sure is working hard out there, isn't he?
So one of the things with this this is one of my older characters,
right?
And I thought of a very cool thing with this character that would bring a reason to why. Like, she has changed a lot since my first drawings of her.
Mm-hmm.
And she's now very muscular and all. But I had this idea of the way I could make it work between her older version and her younger version. And that is, she has the Curse of the Phoenix. So when she dies, she burns to ash, and then from the ash, she's
reborn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought
Nice.
that could be a really cool fantasy element.
Hmm. Yeah.
That literally you don't see at all in fantasy outside of monsters.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Like, Doctor Who has a little bit of it, but he doesn't revert to a younger stage. He just transforms into the next stage.
Right. Right.
So I sent you a picture on Facebook. Here she is. She has, you know, all of her gear from when she's big and now she's tiny, and it's like she's trying to hold up her pants. None of her armor fits.
Right.
The backpack that she has on her what is a fanny pack that I'm drawing here is actually a backpack.
Right. Aw, I like that.
But I was playing with this idea of size.
Hmm.
I think that that concept could be very fun.
I think so too. I think that sounds like a lot of fun too. To play that game with size and doing everything.
So there's an anime called Free Ren. It's Free Ren Beyond the Hero's Journey or something like that. It's a what if. Okay, you have your D&D party. And it takes on the big world-ending baddie and kills it and comes home to the celebration. What happens to the party after?
Hmm.
And particularly, one of the party members is an elf who is, for all practical purposes, immortal.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
what would happen to this immortal character after the story is done? And she's watching her party members die off. And one of the characters in there, she attends his funeral. And she goes, I didn't get to know him very well. And they're all like, what do you mean? We adventured for a decade. And she goes, yeah, but a decade's not nearly long enough to get to know someone. Because to an elf, time is different
Right.
than a human. And it kind of takes the way I view immortality, which is more of a curse. I'm not pessimistic about it, but if you have all the time in the world, you could dedicate 100 years to studying something lightly.
Right.
Like, that is not your lifetime's work. That is just you doing work.
Mm-hmm.
Like learning a subject. And it's that scale that is causing her issue. If she can't emotionally attach herself to characters that have a finite lifespan. Even
Right.
the dwarf, who can live 400 years, has a finite lifespan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've always thought that that's a thing that is interesting to consider and ponder. The idea and the concept of characters that live or creatures that live a whole lot longer than other creatures.
Yeah.
It'd be like, like thinking about just living with George. George is 4 now, but that's an adult. That's an adult cat.
Yeah.
And George will likely live another 10 years with me, another decade. But as far as George is concerned, there will come a time where George and I will be the same biological age-ish. And then George will surpass me very quickly and be older than me. And then we'll die of old age. And
you will always be there.
And as far as George is concerned, I just never really changed much,
Mm-hmm.
Just this infinitely long-living creature that was there when George was a kitten and is still there when George is an old man,
Yeah.
It would be weird, from George's point of view, it's an eternal thing. But then I think about, like, the kiddo. The kiddo is changing rapidly around George, obviously. But even then, the kiddo and George were the same biological age at one point as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think we picked up George when George was still very small when we picked him up. He was a very tiny little critter. He's still a very svelte cat, but he's a male cat, so he's
yeah,
he's not but I mean, he's not fat or anything like that. He's just a normal sized male cat. But relative to what he was. And I often think about that. I think about all of the creatures that we've got that travel our lives with us. Your alpaca, the even the chickens, things like that. You think about all of those creatures, and they live these lives. That's saying to me.
Yeah. And like, I was thinking about Karina with the Phoenix thing. And I was thinking about her lifetimes. Like, she would be the only one who could emotionally attach to an elf, because she would understand that eternal life.
Mm-hmm.
But then she would also not be able to, like, the elf still couldn't um, understand her
Mm-hmm.
and what she
Mm-hmm.
goes through because she can actually die and then come back.
Right, right, right.
So for her, it's like she could die of old age. She could have an entire lifespan and come back. And that would be very weird to an elf.
Yeah. I also think, though, I mean, I think you'd end up with a couple of different kinds of thought processes with this from the elf's point of view. Because I'm very, very attached to George. I'm very attached to George. I don't know if they're equatable, you know what I mean? But George isn't going to live as long as you will. You know what I mean? Like, as a buddy, as a
Yeah.
friend, you're going to be here for a lot longer than George, hopefully. I mean, I hope we all hang out that long. But I mean, provided all things go normally and the world travels the way it's supposed to travel, you and I shall be hanging out with one another for another 20 years or so at least. And so I keep thinking about things like, you know, that concept that
Yeah,
that
but take okay, here's a good thought thing. Imagine if when George is elderly, suddenly he can become a kitten again. How would that affect you?
right? That would be weird. And it depends on whether George continued to do the same things as a kitten, or whether
Yeah.
we had to retrain George. You know what I mean? Like, if we had to retrain George every time, it'd be like getting another cat, right? But if you had George and he comes back as a kitten who then promptly stands on my chest and licks my nose and meows at me in disdain when I leave for NDK and all the things, and he acts just like George, that becomes a different prospect, right? Because now we're talking about re re-engaging the character,
Hmm.
the same
But
person.
you'd also have to deal with the fact that now, as a kitten, he is fundamentally different. Well, he's the same cat, and he still does those things, but then he has all of his kitten things back that he used to do,
Right,
like climb up you.
right. Which would be entertaining to do in a that in a story arc, because you could, you know hey, watch me jump off this building. All the stupid stuff you would do as a young child. Now
Yeah,
you're like, ooh, let's do this again.
and so that kind of became. I guess that kind of shows my thought processes have evolved from, okay, she's an immortal character, to what if she's more like a phoenix?
Mm-hmm.
And that really changed her dynamic at that point.
Yeah, I
Because
like the
then she'd
concept.
be like, because then she'd be like looking at it going, God damn it, I worked so hard to get those muscles. And
Right.
now I'm back to the scrawny.
Or, you know, that tattoo artist died many years ago.
Yeah.
Right? There's no way I'll ever get that tattoo back because she died so many years ago that there's no way that art will ever come back.
Yeah.
That's an
And you
interesting,
can't even save it. It's like it's gone forever.
right? That'd be interesting.
You know, you run into statues of yourself
Right.
at a different point in time, and people are like, yes, this is the hero of time, and they're standing next to you,
Right.
explaining about this great hero, and you're like, dude, it's me. And it's like, no, you're like young. This is like a middle-aged man.
Right. Well, and that would be one of those things where that would be an interesting thing of asking the character, how would you handle that? You know what I mean? Like, my first thought would be, here is the great hero, Gaiacles, who did this, this amazing thing where he fought off 40 soldiers. Well, it was actually 38. Okay.
Yeah.
And single-handedly with only one short sword. It was a long sword. Yeah. How do you know all this? I was a scholar, and like, it's like, how do I explain this?
Well, that's what Freeran actually runs into as they're adventuring. The statues start changing for the hero's party.
Mm-hmm.
And like, Himmel becomes much, instead of being this young man, becomes this older warrior that Freeran even barely recognizes as being the hero of old.
Right.
That she traveled with. Or in the case, she was with a even older master called Flamme. And she runs into a statue in which Flamme was a woman.
Mm.
But the culture had changed her into a man. So she's running into the statue of the great mage Flamme, and Flamme is like Merlin almost.
Right.
And so that's kind of a fascinating take for me.
I could see that.
Sorry, I am totally distracting you from your...
Oh, I'm actually done doing the thing I was coming in here to do tonight. You're not distracting me. I was gonna come in here and redesign the shared space so that they could all share their space together. And that's what I was really after, and have done so. I'm actually kind of thinking I might even get rid of these 2 rec rooms, but then it'd be really weird because then the showers would be isolated. I don't know. I like the idea that all of the water stuff is on a water wall.
Yeah.
They make some sense. It's very similar to a house.
By the way, I'm finding that I keeping a journal now
Cool.
And like, whenever I have an idea for or like I'm watching a YouTube video and I see a very scenic thing, I sketch it out.
Nice.
Or I want to take notes for the comic. I have those.
Oh yeah.
Little
I mean, we can't read it because the quality's really low, but yeah.
Yeah. But I'm doing a lot of like little doodles and sketches in here.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to. I've been meaning to go hang out with Raph sometimes because we had a thing going before school started where every so often I'd go over there and he's got like on one of the floors of his apartment building is this community area, I guess, for lack of a better word. And so we go out we just get a little room in the community area and sit down and sketch and draw, just so that we can get, because I'm not drawing otherwise. You know what I mean? I just don't have the time. And I miss drawing. I miss putting pencil to paper. It is part of who I am as a human. I might be changing into a scientist, but at the core, I will still always be an artist.
Yeah, I recommend it. And the book I have is dotted.
Right.
I thought I'd hate that, but I actually have really learned to like having it.
Yeah, lines and I don't get along, but I could see dots being not so bad.
Because the nice thing with dots is you could go through and like my notes here. You know how I do the comic thumbnails? I can quickly sketch out some thumbnails using the dots to help get me a nice square start point. But I've been using it for all kinds of things. It's been really helpful.
Yeah.
This is my month tracker.
Oh, look at that.
So like
that's pretty cool.
I have, what was my sleep apnea like for the previous night? Did I draw? Did I do my exercises? Have I done posts for Twitter and Patreon?
Right.
What's my weight? All that. So I've been tracking all kinds of information.
That's nice.
Like, that's my monthly tracker. And then I have I have by the week trackers in which I get a little bit more of a closer view of what goals I set out for the week that I want to do.
That's nice.
Including what days do I work? Is there conventions? What are the events going on this week? What are things I have to do this week? And then I have the daily journal.
Right.
To that. And it's been quite the nice thing to have. And one thing that comes from you,
But they're so lovely. I love them so much.
well, and that's
I
what
will
was,
contaminate the whole world with 4-color pens.
well, because I used to have just a black pen,
Right?
and then I'm like, I was losing information because everything was the same. So now I'm mixing it up with the black and the blue and the green, and every time I have a new line, I'm switching colors
Right.
so that I can quickly go, okay, this is a new thought. But like I even have in the very front, like this is nice because it has a table of contents. But I also set up a year tracker in the front.
Oh, look at that. Wow. You're doing really good on this tracking your universe sort of thing.
Actually. Because there's a lot of important things that I kept losing.
Right.
It would get lost under other things. And so I started doing this, and I found because I'm doing this.
Hey, itty chicks.
Hello. How's it going?
We're coming up to the end of the stream again, though. But it's good to see you, man.
I'm using this less often.
Mm.
And this is becoming more my new memory bank, as it were. Yeah, it's nice seeing you.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So, just something I've been doing that you might want to think about picking up. I think this book is like $10 at Walmart or something like that. But it's been very handy because I've never journaled like this before. And I'm actually really liking having this ability to go, what tasks do I need to do today?
Mm-hmm.
And it's giving me structure to think about things. And I've actually been more productive because of it.
I agree.
I'm going to end it there for tonight. Well, I think I am done drawing for tonight.
I think I am too. I think I'm pretty zorched.
Yeah.
I did good for tonight. We did all the deck plans and redesign for the freeboard deck, which was one of the goals for tonight.
And I got
Oh, hey
through the
George.
comic,
Speaking of the devil, you little devil.
which was very helpful. I actually kind of needed to body double so I could get through the page.
Right. I feel like so. Yeah, we will. So yeah, I will talk to you guys later, I guess, because like Yita Cheeks just showed up, and I don't know where MD went. I think we lost them a while back, which is fine. And then I'll figure out why we can't get you to access this for whatever reason is going on. May just be a glitch. There's a new way of doing everything now in here. Like it asks you to, make a title for the show and all that stuff before you can hit go. So you can't just start streaming. Now you have to like click all of these things to make it work. So there's new stuff going on, and I think that that's a thing. So we may just have some kind of weird glitchy thing going on. So
And that could be,
yeah, it could be, which could be just what's going on, which is fine. Just need to give you access. So, all right, well, Desnooder, I'll be on Sunday night, provided the COVID doesn't zorch me. I'm on COVID watch. So, because I was at a convention and now I'm watching on social media that many people at that convention were getting COVID. So I'm on watch now. So I'm just going to stay home and test regularly. But if I catch COVID, I probably won't be on Sunday night. Otherwise, I'll be on Sunday night at 9 p.m. Mountain time. So, and plausibly, Kayan will join me or not, seeing as how things go. We'll have to see how that goes. So you can join us then, and that will be fine. But I'm going to go to bed. George just came in here to give me the reminder that it's nighttime, and he wishes to have his sleeping thing, because that's all I really am for my cat, is just a sleeping thing. I'm like the big warm sleeping mat for my cat. So, all right. We'll see. Yeah, right? I don't want to die. I'm hoping I don't get it, because that stuff's nasty. I've had many of the vaccines, so hopefully that's helping me out here. So, all right, guys. I will see you later. Thanks for joining me, Can. Appreciate it. And I will have a good evening. Have a good weekend. And as always, keep your eyes on the stars, guys. Good night.